Kia ora tātou, kia ora anō tātou, ko Wes James ahau, nau mai, rarau mai. Kira mahashiv, Ishmisha Wesley James, just practicing my Gallacher, Scots Gallacher, trying to learn that, connecting with my ancestors, and welcome to Men Speak, It's Okay to Heal. I'm so excited to be here, to be standing in this present moment, manifesting this space, this time with all of you. This is an event I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm extremely privileged and honoured for it to be in Whanganui. I live in Tururangi with my beautiful partner Bridie Rose and my 3 tamariki, and yeah, I'd like to talk about this event, why I've created this event, what it means to me, what I'm hoping to achieve with this time and this space, and then go into some of my story, some of my reflections and perspectives on what it means to heal, what it means to be a man in 2024. So firstly, I'd just like to, mihi to the awa, mihi to the kahui maunga, and mihi to the tangata whenua of this place that have kept the ground fertile for us to be here. Whanganui, I've grown up in Taranaki, travelling through Whanganui many times, and for most of my youth and young adult life, all I used to think about was McDonald's. I'd come through Whanganui and then it would be, oh yeah, what are we getting at Macca's, mum? You know, and my perspective and experience has changed deeply as I'm meeting beautiful people that live here and actually connecting with people rather than a corporation. So now when I come down through Whanganui, I'm training down here, and I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it, because that huge body of water carries all this wisdom, all this love, all this knowledge, and all this experience. You know, the tide goes up there and then it comes back out, and you've got all that energy and the fish, the ika, and the people that have lived and experienced this place. So it really does hold a lot of energy, and I've had just amazing sunrise training sessions here. I've connected in with other people that have joined me in those sessions, so it really feels quite natural to be here in this space in Whanganui. So that's why I've chosen Whanganui. And yeah, Men Speak, It's Okay to Heal. What is this event, and what does it mean to me? So often all of us, we talk about, oh, I'm on this journey, or I started my journey on da-da-da-da-da, and one of the biggest things that has had an impact on my journey is hearing other people's stories, is hearing experiences of life, hearing what people have overcome, hearing how people have transformed their perspective. Because for so long in my life, I was looking for more. I was looking for some sort of validation, and for so long, for me, it was in the bottle, alcohol, and it was also externally from other people, wanting people to validate me, wanting people to not necessarily asking them to validate them, but reflecting on that and thinking, I actually wanted all these people to validate me, to somehow give me my worth, and it was never working out, because from what I've learned, no one can validate another person. You know, like, we can't leave our mana in the balance of someone else's perspective of the world. It's a very futile exercise. So over the past couple of weeks, I've been thinking a lot about what I'm going to talk about and how is it going to go, and what if I can't. I love to put myself on the spot. I love to put myself on the spot to think about what is called for here. It could be the right thing, it could be the wrong thing. I'm not sure, but I know that it starts with sharing stories. So I guess a few provisions to make for the evening. The stuff that I'm going to share is my perspective, my stories. You don't have to believe or agree with it. It's the same with the brothers here, Tururangi and Kyle. Those are their stories, those are their reflections and their experiences, and take what you will from it. It's about healing, and growth is about taking those things that resonate. And one thing that has helped me with that is consider the source. Consider the source of the information that you are getting. You know, there's so much information out there, but where is it coming from, and what does that person or institution or group, do they embody that information? So one thing that did bring me to Whanganui was connecting with the brother Harmonious Rowe. I know some of you have connected and associated with Creating Space, a beautiful kaupapa that has been around Aotearoa, created by the brother Harlem Rātapu, who has become a good friend of mine. That is another reason why I'm on this path and why I want to build awareness of healing, self-healing. The brother Harmonious went around Aotearoa gathering kai, gathering people, gathering healing modalities and putting on these beautiful events called Creating Space for people to come in, have a kai and connect. And just like, I came down to the first one I attended was in Whanganui, and it was just an amazing expression of collaboration. No alcohol, no drugs, people coming together. I'm like, well, this is amazing. This is amazing. Like, so I guess in some way, so once I forged my friendship with the brother Harmonious, I met these other beautiful people down here in Whanganui, and that was really helped me to start tapping into, wow, there is actually other people that believe in other stuff other than just drinking or just like living this mundane life. There's so much more out there. So that heavily influenced my journey on creating this event, actually starting to branch out and share my perspectives, my reflections and my story online to guide and support other people, whether that's through a post or through a video. So that's another layer of the story of how I've woven into being down here in Whanganui and connecting in, and I'm loving being able to strengthen those relationships by coming and putting on my own free event to inspire and manifest change for other people. So my goal tonight, well, they say, the saying goes, there's the day you're born, the day you die, and then the day your life changes forever. So one of my hopes for tonight is that you hear something, you're like, fuck, yes! Like one little thing, it could be one word, it could be a feeling, you know, it could just be a feeling. You're like, I'm gonna do this next. I'm gonna, fuck that one thing, the way I'm gonna implement that, I know how I can do that for my life or my whānau or my community. So that really resonates with me, like creating that internal dialogue, you know, the day you're born, the day you die, and then the day your life changes forever. And the cool thing about that is you can have those shifts, you can have that day multiple times. It's not just one day that your life changes forever, but you can really catapult yourself forward through seeking out and creating the being that you want to be. This morning when I was walking under the stars, again I was reflecting on what am I going to talk about and what does it mean to heal? What does it mean to progress forward as a man? What are the things that have worked for me? How can I summarize it in an understandable way to share with other people? Because I've made some changes in my life and I'm just like so grateful for the things that have aligned or moved me forward into that direction. And a thing that came to me, and that's another tool that I would love to share, is getting under the stars, getting under the starlight, rise in darkness, preparation for light. One of the things that enabled me to start changing my perspective about myself was just literally waking up early and going into nature, and not, you know, as opposed to walking home from the pub at 3 a.m. going, well, look at the stars, bro. Like actually going out there in a sober state to experience that environment. The one thing about getting up early that I've learned is the collective conscious is very quiet in the early hours of the morning. When I talk about the collective conscious, it's the hive mind. It's the mind that we all share, right? Like we all agree that that's a piece of wood on the floor. We all agree that that's a curtain. So the collective consciousness is continually creating these unseen agreements, right? That, you know, for me growing up was the old Whanganui, that's where I stopped for McDonald's. Heaps of other people think that too. They drive in, stop there, and then bugger off to their next place. So the collective conscious is constantly creating these agreements about what reality is. So in order to change my perspective, I started getting up earlier, and then I started just feeling different. And I was thinking, what is different? What's different here? And then I started doing it more, and I started getting up even earlier. Then I started having a regular rising time of 3:30, and I just started understanding things that are a bit hard to explain. But then it started forming itself into these concepts of, well, the collective conscious. When you wake up at 3:30 in the morning, most people are asleep. Their minds are very quiet. So the influence of this, of large groups of people, when you're living in a city of 40,000, 50,000 or 1 million in Auckland, you can start to get back to your own true nature when that collective is quiet, when it's quieted down. There's not many people awake, so the level of vibration is quite free for you to start creating new ways of knowing, being and doing within yourself. So that's one tool, and I was using that tool this morning, walking under the stars and just appreciating the moment and thinking about tonight and thinking about packaging up information that I've learnt in order for me to help other people stay alive, because so many men have taken their lives. So many men have taken their lives, you know, and I'm thinking, I've been on that edge multiple times, but I've successfully been able to navigate back from that edge. You know, like I do get severe lows. I do know and have awareness that that is in my character. I'm working on making those lows not as intense, right? I'm trying to even out through continual, because I'm a human, right? I go through these phases. There's expansion phases and contraction phases, highs and lows, positive, negative, whatever you want to call them. So how have I managed to pull back from that total self-destruction that just decimates families and communities? You know, what is it that I've done? And then I came up with this morning the IGS. It's the IGS, the internal guidance system. The internal guidance system, because when you're on that edge and the darkness, the death, taking your own life, it feels like it starts to feel very attractive, and that's what happens. So I started, oh gee, so that sounds kind of cool, internal guidance system. It's that ability to build your dialogue within your own mind, to start to unpack and shift one's own perspective about the experience you're having. So when you're feeling that low, going, okay, you're down again. You're down. Hey, that's okay, bro. That's okay. Let's flip this. So the internal guidance system, how do we manifest that? How do we create that? How do we strengthen that internal guidance system? So getting up, as I said before, getting up in the early hours of the morning before the collective hive mind starts influencing your life, right? Because there's so many things, adverts for smoking, vaping, all the stuff your friends are saying on Facebook. I could go on and on about it. I think you guys get the picture about what that collective hive mind is. So getting that time in to strengthen that internal guidance system. And one of the things, the most powerful tools that I use on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, that I'm so passionate about, that I wish I'd learnt 20 years ago, is meditation. Is sitting in silence. That's how you strengthen your internal guidance system, because no one else ever really actually knows what you're thinking, you know? No one, we get energetic vibrations and we can be really empathetic to what people are going through and sense where they're at, but no one actually knows what you're thinking and going through. And most of us don't ourselves, right? I used to just be numbing out those thoughts all the time. on the piss, on the drugs, and just letting other people influence my state of consciousness, letting other people guide, push, bully, whatever, into thinking who I was. So strengthening that internal guidance system through silence. That's something I do every morning. I wake up and then I close my eyes. I love describing it like that, because if I would think of that 10 years ago, I'd be like, that sounds fucked, you know? Why would you wake up? Why would you wake up and then close your eyes? You know, because when you wake up, you're supposed to start your day. When you wake up, you're supposed to do stuff. When you wake up, you're supposed to drink coffee because you've had 8 hours of sleep, but you're still tired. You've got to start trying to kickstart this thing. So it was like, wake up and close your eyes. And I started doing this. And I was like, when I first started meditation regularly, like I dabbled in it over years and I'd never really committed to it. I used to have this kind of weird story in my mind that I had a spiritual practice, but I never practiced. You know, I just told myself that. There was no actual practice of doing the stuff. You know, it was attending the odd yoga class, whatever, but there wasn't actually the hard graft of that committing to it, you know. So I started doing it and I sat down and all I could handle was a minute. The first time I sat down in silence, man, oh my God, I'm going to be late this morning. What's the time? My legs are sore. What's for breakfast? Just, there's so much going on, you know, like never mind the hive mind. There was this hive of just and so much going on in here of all these things. You got to do this, you got to do that. And I kept with it, and it really helped me to realize that, hey, I needed to actually drop the drink, because when I would drink, even if it was like 2 or 3 beers, a moderate amount, I would just find in the morning I'd wake up and I'd go, I don't want to wake up and like observe my thoughts. Well, why would I feel like crap, you know? Feel like crap. Or if the same thing, if I'd smoked some cones the night before, I just have this haze over where I just couldn't, I was like, just so tired. I need a coffee, I need a something, you know? So forging that internal guidance system has helped me to start to unpack my problems, my issues, my challenges, but also to reflect on my triumphs, my wins, my skills and my strengths, because we've got to try and balance it in, right? Don't have time to unpack the whole thing tonight, but the meditation helped me to drop that bottle. It helped me to strengthen the internal guidance system, which then evolves into the internal governance system. There's all these institutions out there and groups of people telling us that we should be doing this, that we should be doing that, you know? So part of this journey of healing for me is starting to unpack, what does personal sovereignty actually mean? What does it mean to have an internal governance system? And when I've heard Tururangi speak, he talks a lot about that in terms of how are we living our lives? You know, what narratives are we believing in? So getting up, that's part of my routine, part of the things that I promote. And the thing I love about meditation is it's free. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go anywhere. Like, we get caught up in having this perfect day, or we've got to have a shrine, we've got to have a temple, we've got to have this pillow, blah, 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 blah. You know, you don't need anything. You don't actually need anything. You actually just need to make the choice to go to wake up and close your eyes and go, where am I at? What are my thought patterns? What is it that I'm actually thinking about right now? Is there something that I've got unresolved from 20 years ago? Have I ever actually given myself time to think about that thing that's influenced who I think I am? Because that's when like when I talked about it before, when I first got into it, too many thoughts. It was just like the traffic jam in Auckland, cars going everywhere. But then I started to keep going, to strengthen it, to be able to actually handle my own thoughts for then 2 minutes, for then 3 minutes. And it goes on. I'm pushing myself to break through that half an hour barrier daily now, because I still find that resistance. Fuck, you got to be doing something. Where's you got to be working? You got to be getting this firewood. You got to be getting this money. You got to be spending time with your kids. You got to contact the whānau. You got to do a post. You got to do a post. So I'm still working on it because it's so important. We've got to be able to disassociate healthily from those things to come back to the internal guidance system of who do we want to be, what do we want to become. So that's the key for me, is having that internal guidance system, which then develops naturally into an internal governance system. What are the things that you value as a person? You know, it's about auditing that regularly, not to punish yourself, but just auditing, because we all slip. Man, I've been in a big low for the last couple of months, and to be honest, the 2 weeks ago I was like, fuck this event, you're full of shit, you can't go down there and talk to people about that. Honestly, I'm being straight up, it's challenging. You know, we all go through that, but I want this event to also be just about showing up. And I'm so happy and proud of all of us to be here, substance free. You know, it's free. All the tools are free. You know, sometimes I'm the worst marketer because I'll run a workshop and I go, you know what, guys, everything I do is for fucking free. You know, or I should be signing them up for my coaching and that. But it's like, I just want people to really actually understand that they can do it. You know, if they want me to be alongside them and pay me to do that, sweet, I can do that. But all those tools are there. There's all these people out in the communities. And the cool thing about social media, which helped me on my journey, seeing the brother Harmonious Ra, seeing brother Tururangi sharing, and Kyle, that's the medicine, is the sharing. That's what that fella's up to. And I've still got my areas to work on and to heal through is jealousy. I'll go online, I'll see, oh man, fuck, that guy's caning it, man. The antidote for that is to straight up take action into your own life, whether that's a workout or whether that's going and doing the frickin' dishes. You know, you've got to convert that to action. But I feel like that's a good point to wrap up my contribution for this evening. The internal guidance system. Having that time to think about what is guiding you. You know, what narratives are coming through for you? What ones are good? What ones are helping you? And what ones are not that good and not helping you? You know, that's up for each individual to decide. It's not for me to decide, because you've got a different whakapapa, you've got a different social setting, you've got a different experience, and that's manifesting itself constantly. But you can choose which parts of all of that stuff you've been through that you can continue on with, and which new stuff you bring in. So IGS, internal guidance system, which then unfolds to the internal governance system, which is like the day-to-day. The guidance system is like thinking about, okay, like what does this dude, where's James do? Like, how does he look? You know, what does he eat? And all that kind of thing. And then the governance system is your own self governing your mind, body and soul to behave. Remember, you said you were going to do this, Wes. That donut's not actually part of the protocol, brother. So, did anyone bring any donuts tonight? Put that to the test. So that's what I've got to share tonight. The internal governance system, internal guidance system, going through to the internal governance system. There'll be another layer. There'll be another level to it. So that's my contribution for the evening. Just to recap, I will shortly hand it over to Tururangi, and he's going to flow into his reflections, experiences and wisdom, then on to the brother Kyle. And apologies, I didn't introduce the brothers at the start of the speech. Just got a bit excited and got straight into it. So I would like to take this moment to thank both of you brothers for jumping on board to co-create this transformative space of sharing ideas, sharing stories, sharing what works for you and what resonates for you in this moment. And then after Kyle has finished his kōrero, there will be a chance, again, just reminding everyone of the the outline to have a kōrero or ask a question while we're kind of formally seated, and if nothing needs to be brought up then that's fine, and then we'll have a kai together and a chance to have a catch up. So as opposed to having a preempting that people might want to clap or anything like that, I would just love us to take 3 slow breaths together to acknowledge this moment and to shift to the next moment. So wherever you are on your breath, please empty your lungs, breathing out. Gently breathing into the belly. And then release, breathing out, dropping the shoulders. Breathing into the belly again for breath 2. Gently releasing. Third and final shared breath, breathing in through the nose. And releasing, drop the shoulders. Ngā mihi, ka huri.
Thought I had one more for luck. Kia ora whānau. Man, I was just out here earlier. I seen the kahawai jumping around out there. I was going to tell Wes, oh bro, I can't make it. I was going to text him, but I forgot I was already here. But yeah, just a little bit about my journey, about who I am. I grew up in a little place called Martin, not far from here. My childhood upbringing wasn't the best. Definitely had a lot of fun. Was, you know, trouble, smashing windows, stealing things, because that was my environment. You know, this was my male role models. All my uncles and that were sort of like gang members. You know, my father too. And there was a lot of anger in our household. I had no brothers, just 3 sisters. And yeah, my father, not really being a father, not really being there, he was never present. He was always angry. We weren't even allowed to play as children. We used to get told to fuck up all the time. Get out, get away from there. Me and my sisters, every day after school, we pretty much just fight. We used to just scrap. We were just angry little kids, you know, and all our uncles used to tell us, harden up. Harden up, you know, that was the normal. So through my teenage years, man, I was this angry person. Got into my relationship, had kids and that, but I was radiating, projecting all this hurt. No awareness whatsoever. I just thought that was normal, you know. And yeah, at 16, my father passed away. He had a heart attack, 42. Really young, 42. I still sit here now like, man, you know, how come that happened? You know, he wasn't really a big man. I sort of had a look at his life and what it was. He never rested, never sat down, he never reflected, never sat with himself. It was the anger that got to him, didn't rest, and, you know, the lifestyle, drinking every weekend, you know, my whole life pretty much, in and out of hospital. And, you know, I wore a lot of that stuff. I really did. You know, I carried it with me most of my life. And, you know, I heard a lot of people along the way, especially my older kid's mother. She put up with a lot. You know, I treated her like shit. But, you know, there's all a part of the journey. You know, I have to come into a place of acceptance. You know, I don't live there anymore. You know, that's my past. You know, and I still get the same people that hold me in that space, and I'm like, man, why are you there in my past when I'm here right now? You know, I'm here in the present moment. But from then till now, man, I've done a lot of work. I've learned a lot of tools to help me in this journey called life. So I grew up in Martin. When I was 15, I had moved down to a place called Otaki where my grandmother's from. And down there, I started learning how to fish, traditional Māori fishing. We're out on canoes, sailing along the Kapiti coast, setting nets, and learning traditional Māori knowledge, which I still carry now. And from there, you know, sort of a few years later, father passed away, met my oldest kid's mother, had a family, and lived in Palmy for about 12 years. And during those 12 years, I started learning things. I picked up the chisels and I learned how to carve when I was 16. Started my journey with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I started it because I wanted to beat people up. I wanted to be tough because, when you're young, you have that ego and you walk around, hey, what are you looking at? Or that sort of, they carry on. But I've come a long way from there. The alarm was, that's what I used to be like when I was doing jiu-jitsu. And then probably in my early 20s, I picked up the gun and I learned how to tattoo. And I became a tamoko artist. And man, I was just practicing some of these on all the cousins that come out of jail. But in order for me to get to where I am now, I started, that's how I learned. Lived in Palmy for 12 years, and then, the relationship and stuff didn't work out. I just wasn't in the best space, hit depression, didn't love myself, all of those things. And then along the way, I sort of came back here to Whanganui where my grandparents are from. They're from Aramoho. They're buried down there. There's a marae down there. That's where my grandparents are buried. And I've been back here in Whanganui for about 7 to 8 years now. But it wasn't until about 5 years ago I sort of said, man, fuck, I need to do something about this anger, about this hurt that I'm carrying. I need to dive deep into myself, man, because I carry all these skills that I've learned and I'm transferring my skills onto other people and teaching what I know. But behind the scenes is a mess. It's not right. I'm tattooing people and giving them my energy in the sacred space. But behind the scenes, I still carried a lot of this trauma and a lot of this hurt. And I was like, man, I better do something about it. But along the journey as well, I met this guy because I'd done my painting and decorating trade along that way too. And this guy told me, hey, bro, I think it was about 2011. He goes, bro, it's going to be the end of the world next year. And I went, hey, what? I was like scratching my head and he was like, bro, it's going to be the end of the world. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? He goes, oh, it's the Mayan calendar, 2012. So I went home and I was like, it's like sketching out like, man, what's this? And a couple of weeks later, I was like seeing 11:11 around. Like, I would just be driving, look at my phone, 11:11, get down the road, look over to the side, see a mailbox, 11:11. I was seeing it every day. I was like, man, I'm going crazy up in here. So I went on Google and I was like, what's 11:11? And then all the stuff popped up and I was like, do you see 11:11? It's angel numbers. Angels are trying to connect with you. And then the angel Rowe is trying to capture your attention by putting, messing with, they can mess with electronical devices in it to get you to look in certain places to capture your attention. Well, anyway, these messages were coming through. I had a friend, she's matakite or clairvoyant. She was like, hey, bro, they're trying to get hold of you. I was like, who? Where? Yes, the people that you can't see. And I was like, oh, far. And I was freaking out for a bit. I was like, damn. But when I was younger, I could see them. But then, go to school and all that, watch TV and those sort of things. You get blindsided by the spiritual world, but it really does exist. And then when she told me that, man, I started paying more attention. The more I started paying attention, the more they were appearing. Coincidences, signs, tohus, all those things started popping up everywhere. And I was like, man, it is true. And they said, oh, look, the guardians, they said, look, you got these skills, you connect with a lot of people, just the person who you are. Use these skills to help people. You're a light worker in this world here. These different vibrations and different frequencies, different energies, and a lot of people are suffering from, oppression, suppression, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people are hurting, and you can help these people. That was the message. You can help these people. But I still needed to do the inner work at that time. And it's the last 5 years, as I was saying, man, I've really been diving deep. I've been pulling those Excaliburs out of the rocks and fishing up those islands, Maui's hook, all of that sort of stuff, but the triggers were still there. My triggers were still there, people were still triggering me, especially at home, my kid's mother, my kids is still triggering me. I was like, man, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm still vibrating this anger and all that. I think the last year or two, man, I've really just been coming in myself. And how I judge, because I'm really quite hard on myself, how I judge how far I've come is when all that outside influence, all that noise outside doesn't affect you in here. You know, your true self, you have to find it internally. No, don't be influenced by all what's going around outside of you. You know, there's definitely some good things out there that can help activate your internal space, but you have to, again, strip these layers of suppression, oppression, all those things. But even, you know, knowing who you are, like in this life, in this journey, they say, yeah, I'm Māori. But what is that? For me, it's not the ethnicity. It's not at all, because we're all the same. We all bleed the same. Māori is a way of life. And it's being natural, being normal, having a connection to the earth out here. Like, you know, when it comes to iwi politics and that, I'm different. I don't like getting caught up in all that because there's so much division. You know, I'm like, man, we're supposed to all be together. Yes, we have a way, authentic way of being and portraying this blueprint that has been created on this universe for a long time, but that's it. It's the same as everybody else's traditions and culture, but we just have a different way of explaining what that is. And that's where it's at for me, like being Māori. It's not this, we own this and this is ours and this is not yours, and that's not it at all. That's another way of thinking that creates division. And for me, finding out who I am is stripping away these layers of what we've been told. You know, here, look, you go into WINS or you go into organizations, fill out this, and it's got ethnicity. And I'm like, you know, we just, put Māori. But now when I look at that, I'm like, man, I don't even want to put that. You know, I go beyond that. You know, we go to the Creator itself. You know, and when we go back to that, we're all the same. And it's hard because we've got to live out there in society, and society has a whole different way of seeing what that is. And you know, my journey has brought me to where I am now. And I'm still learning. I'm still on this journey of continuously stripping layers, but at the same time, building my foundation solid. And I call it Potu Maro. Potu Maro, so Po is like a statue. Tu means to stand and Maro means solid. So building your foundation solid in who you are and knowing who you are so that no one can fuck with that. No one can mess with that. You know, don't allow people to do that to you. Don't, you know, self-love. What is self-love? Self-love is the way that you live. Everything you do should be strengthening you, should be healing you. It shouldn't be creating damage within your natural self. You know, self-love, self-discipline, self-confidence, self-worth, all of those things. Everything comes back to self. Everything comes back to self. You know, but along the way, you know, these relationships that we have with other people, you know, there's a lot of learning, a lot of lessons in those spaces, especially when someone else is projecting their inner hurt. When someone's saying to you, you know, this negative vibes, you know, just remember that it's a reflection of what's happening internally within them. It's not even you. But we need to be aware that we don't mirror that. We don't mirror that. We can be the mirror sometimes, or we can give them back the mirror. You know, and they say, you know, sometimes silence is the best answer, or sometimes love is the best answer. But what I've come to learn now is that, you know, you need to lay down your boundaries. You have to. And it's for other people to learn as well, because if you don't lay down the boundaries, then they're just going to keep coming back. Just to, you know, it doesn't have to be like, hey, you know, don't do that. It's just like, hey, man, look, I'm in the space here right now that I'm like focusing on, you know, my life and my goals and things like that. And this is where I am. You know, whatever you want to do in your life, that's up to you. And in this life, you're allowed to do whatever you want, as long as you don't create harm, you don't create destruction on, in nature. And if people have a problem, that's their problem. Over there, far over there, down the hill, around the corner, over there. I'm over here. That's yours. You deal with that. You deal with that. Here's a Whanganui retreat coming up. Jump on there. Come to men speak. Yeah. But the more I dive into this self, I'm in the space now where I've got a lot going on. Like, the bro talked about it earlier. When we say, oh man, we're busy, it's a cursive word, busy. We're making ourselves busy. And I'm in a space now because I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm calf. I'm a tattooist. I've got big gardens and then all my kids, and I've got so much going on. But I come to the space now where I'm starting to cut cords of attachments, cut it all away. Because in this life, we don't really need much. We really don't. All we need is fire and water. Yeah. And it's, when you dive deep within yourself, you start to realize and see around you this matrix that we're living in. And all the government and corporations and all that stuff, it does have a lot, it does affect how we live our lives. A lot of people do get caught up in that stuff. But being aware, but making sure that you know who you are on this path, because there's going to be heaps of challenges. There really is. And they're always going to be there. They're never going to go away. Like the bro was saying, life goes sweet, everything's mean, everything's happening, and then you hit that low. But it's how you hold yourself in that space when you do hit that low. Because I'm the same too. It's like up, down, but it's like there's a mountain. So many different paths to get up to the mountain, but at the top of the mountain is, we're all going to get there. If you want to go that path, you can go that path. I'll go that path, whatever path you want to go. But for me, when we hit a challenge, don't allow the challenge to kick you back down the mountain. Learn the lessons so you stay close to the top. And it's like we go through these cycles in life, and they're going to keep coming until we learn that lesson. Once we learn that lesson, we move up a level, and then there's another cycle. Keep going, you learn that lesson, move up a level. And when you move up a level, you're actually learning more inside yourself, and you're grounding yourself, you're building a strong foundation so that you don't get kicked down the mountain. You stay close to the top all the time. Some of these tools in life that we learn are here to help us stay solid on the journey. Even going back to the story of creation. So the Māori culture, we have a story of creation. And it goes Rangi, Sky Father, Papa Tuanuku, Earth Mother. They were together like this. They were together in darkness, and all in between was all their children. And they had some tribes say 60, some say 70, some say 50. We'll just say around about 90. But about 60, around about 60. I believe around about 64. Around about 64 children, because in our vertebrae, I think there's 32 vertebrae in our spine, and each has a pair. So if you 32 plus 32 is 64. All of those children, for me, they all depict or reflect emotions. Because this is the story of creation. We're going back to the time of creation. And all the children were in this total darkness. A lot of them in there didn't want the mother and father to separate, but some of them wanted them to separate. So there was fighting going on in there. There was depression. There was trauma. And this space here was called noho tata pu. Noho tata pu. There was a lot. So depression, trauma has been around for a long time. It's been around since the time of creation. It's nothing new. But at the same time of creation, when the mother and father, when Tane, the god of forest, separated them, the world of light began. When that world of light began, So the tools that could help us overcome depression and trauma and all those things. But there was still fighting going on. Hey, but that was the duality. There was the fighting and then there was the peace. Okay? This is a universal law. It cannot be. It has to be both. But within ourselves, we have to find that balance, because since the time of creation, both of these things were created. And those stories are only there as blueprints to share how we get through this journey of life and how we navigate this life here on this earth. Because we're not just born here to come go to work, pay people, and that's it. We're here for a purpose, like how we're all here right now. We're here for a divine purpose, because something inside of you's resonated with the bros kōrero, men speak. Something inside of you knew, oh man, I got to go there. There's going to be something in there that's going to activate my internal flame. And that's why we're all here. We're here because it's a divine. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. And it's to do with everything that bring us here in this journey of life. This journey of life. But yeah, I could talk forever. I've had a bit of a colourful life. I really have. But where I am at right at this point of time is I'm full-time carving. I'm on my marae down in Aramoho, and our marae is cool. It's awesome. It's because it was built for the community. My grandfather was a part of it, and they said at that time, man, I'm going to build a marae and it's going to be for everybody. A lot of maraes you can't just go on there. If you do go on there, you get growling. There's intimidation and there's this and that, and you get spoons around the head and that. Man, even with my father's buried, I don't like going in back there because there's a lot of fighting and there's this and that. But where I am in that space is beautiful. There's a lot going on. Like right now, they're having a community dinner, and it's open to everybody. And that's how it should be. It should be for everybody. We all need to be together. The only way to move forward is together. And what does that look like? It's about sharing I don't like saying understanding, understanding of similarities, not differences, similarities, like we all come from a creator. We all have that similarity. We all bleed. We all go through the same trials and tribulations in this life. There's a lot of similarities, and having the safe space like this to be vulnerable and share our stories, man, it really helps other people on their journey of healing, and where they're gonna go, and that's the cool thing about having a space so I can share, from the heart, always from the heart, because a lot of people just operate from the mind, and the mind, if you haven't done certain practices to control the mind, the outside world will influence your mind. And once we learn about the mind and do the right trainings to control the mind, we can shift down into the space here, the heart space, and operate from the heart space. Even though it's a short distance from the mind to the heart, it can take the longest journey. It really can. And the Aboriginals say we have 3 brains, 1, 2, 3. And then some of the Māori beliefs is that we have 3 hearts. The whatu manawa, the ngākau manawa, and the pū manawa. So, yeah, we think, okay, we bring it, we internally vision it, here, third eye. And then we bring it down into here, we feel it. And from here, we bring it down into here, know it, the gut instinct. Okay, so when we make a decision, well, what I do anyway is I'll bring it in here, yeah, envision it, I'll bring it into my heart. Is it right? It feels right, and then I'll bring it down into the space here. Yeah, I know it's right, so I'll go forward with it. And that's how I sort of operate, and just some tools and some techniques I use on my journey. And like healing, it's not a one-off thing. It's not. You can't just say, oh, yeah, I'm healed now. I'm, going to walk across the water. It's not. It's a forever thing. And what I mean is, man, it's a way of life. It's a way of life. You have to create a lifestyle that is going to heal you. Everything you do, as soon as you wake up, hey, till you go to sleep. Why would you do something if it's bad for you? Like, you know, why would you do that to yourself? Do you not love yourself? You know, that's some of the questions, you know, that goes around in my mind is those things. You know, everything you do, you know, should be healing you. You know, it really should. And it comes back to self-love. Self-love. Tell yourself, even the words that you speak, it has a vibration. You know, you have to really speak kind to yourself. Man, I used to always curse myself because I used to always put myself down. And then what comes from that, I manifest it. So I started changing my mindset. You know, man, in order to love myself, I need to be doing this. I need to be doing that. You know, right down to Kai, everything. Kai is not just physical food, it's your environment, the people around you, the energies that they project and radiate. Nature. Nature is the biggest healer. Like, man, when you connect into nature, the moana. You know, when I look out there, I'm looking at a reflection of myself. You know, sometimes it's rough, sometimes it's calm. Those are all our emotions, you know. The sky, the stars, man, it's expansive. There's no limit really to how far you can go and how deep you can dive on your journey of life. Man, that sounds cool, eh? Cracker. But I think it's about 15 minutes, eh, bro? Yeah. Okay, whānau, just a big mihi to everybody for listening and allowing me to share in this space. Yeah, from the heart always. I feel really good and yeah, hungry too. Yeah, mairi ora tēnā tātou.
And as you exhale, just relax. Beautiful. Well, kia ora everyone, my name is Kyle. Just want to start off by giving a big mihi to Wes here. Thank you for putting this together. It's turned out beautifully, good turnout, and a big mihi to the brother Tururangi as well. Someone in the community who really inspires me too, and it's been cool to watch his journey. So I also grew up here in Whanganui. Yeah, I would say that I grew up in a hostile environment. I didn't have the best stepdad, he wasn't the nicest guy. There was a lot of fear, there was a lot of contracting myself, contracting the natural expansion that the child wants to happen. And that kind of shaped me, you know, and it shaped my childhood. And when I was 18, I was really blessed. I reconnected with my real father. And it turns out my real father was on a very deep spiritual journey. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what Buddhism was or what Tibetan Buddhism was, what the difference was or what was going on. But he took me on my first ever meditation retreat, and I did a 2-week silent meditation retreat. And he never really put any concepts in my head. I didn't know what it was all about. The instruction was very simple. This is the posture, sit up straight, focus on the breath, relax and surrender. And that was it. And we would sit for an hour at a time. And we would sit for an hour and then we'd walk for an hour and sit for an hour and walk for an hour. And I did that for 2 weeks. And it was interesting, and something happened in that retreat. A light bulb went off. I felt like I touched something and I went, man, this is really important. There's something here that I need to cultivate. This is really important for my life. And I'm gonna come back to this. But at the time I was 18, so I had a lot of other stuff that I was interested in too. I'd found martial arts. I fell in love with kickboxing and Muay Thai. I saw some people knocking each other out in Japan and I was like, yep, that's me. Get me in on that. Real keen. And so I became a fighter. There was some crazy guy down the road that was chucking people in the ring and I was like, chuck me in, bro. And that was me for about 8 years. I didn't really care about anything else. I didn't care what job I was doing, none of that. I just wanted to be a world champion. I just loved it. I was addicted to it, you know, and it taught me a lot. And when I look back on it now and reflect, I can see how that expression of fighting, it allowed me to express a lot of internal anger that I had from childhood. And I had a lot. There was a lot there that I never got to express because I was too scared to express it, or I didn't know how to express it. but that was a channel. And I think that's the case for a lot of young men. There's a lot of fire there, and they don't know how to channel it. They need something to channel it into, and it might end up in something on the streets looking really negative, and people look down on them and go, why the fuck's he doing that? But it's like they need something to put that fire into, you know, and I was blessed to be able to have martial arts. It also taught me a lot about how to achieve your goals, especially when they're big. And I did really well. I was a good fighter, and I became a New Zealand champion. I became a pro fighter. And I realized you can't get there without discipline, without hard work, without focus. And you can't do those three things consistently without having passion. If you're not passionate about it, it's not going to last. It's going to burn out. We talked about that, the burnout, you know. You've got to love what you're doing. And I did. I loved what I was doing. The universe gave me a huge injury when I was about 24, my knee, my shoulder, all of this stuff. So I went from training twice a day to bedridden. I can't walk. I'm on crutches. And that was shattering for me. And at the same time, it was a blessing because it put me straight back into my spiritual path. And I was always kind of dabbling with it. I was always just under the radar, just kind of developing that connection with myself. I would sit and meditate, and that's right, and go back into these things. But when I had my injury, I went straight back into my practice. And I just naturally just wanted to learn. And so I started learning about, you know, yoga philosophy, the Yoga Sutras. I'd read about Vedanta. I'd read about all the modern scientists who are connecting spirituality and science. And the psychology that's out now about your nervous system, and we understand trauma now. We understand our conditioning. How does that relate to spirituality and growth and all the things that the ancients always said? And yeah, I started learning about all these things, and I started getting back into meditation, and it's been a powerful tool in my life, you know, and for some people it's not always the thing, but like the brother Wes said, this is a powerful tool that we can bring into our life. And for me, it's given me a profound level of growth in myself. And when you ask, what do we get out of meditation? One of my teachers, Tachin, you know, he'll say, we get love and clear seeing. You know, why do we get love? Because love is our natural state. Love is already there, it's what we are. Our natural state is love, unity, connection, clarity, simplicity. It's already there. But we don't see that because we're like a tuning fork. We're like an antenna, right? And we're always tuning into something. Most of the time we're tuning into our thoughts. Most of the time we're raking through the past and planning for the future, which is an interesting thing when it comes to being a human being, right? Because we have this phenomenal memory and this wild imagination. And that can be either the source of your suffering, depression, raking through the past, or anxiety, planning for the future, what's going to happen. It's going to be the same thing that happened to me when I was a kid, and all that stuff, right? Or we can use our memory and an imagination to study our past and our patterns and strategize for a better future, create a beautiful life for ourselves. And so meditation, just from what I've learnt and how I like to articulate it, is basically just orientating yourself to the present moment. That's all it is. You're just bringing yourself back down to what I call reality. The only thing that's actually real, which is right here, right now. Everything else is really just an illusion. And we ground ourselves here. And it's a hard thing to do. But like that tuning fork that's tuning into your thoughts, when it's unplugged from that, when you unplug from the thoughts, there's a natural attunement to the heart. It's a natural attunement to the heart. And once you've felt that, you get it, you understand it. It becomes like, this is something I need to cultivate. You're also attuning to an intelligence. There's an intelligence here that knows what to do. It's powerful, and it's going to untangle all these knots of clinging, all these knots of trying to grasp at something or push something away. And, you know, the mind's so interesting. It's like we spend so much time with all this chatter kind of going over the story of what's happening rather than just being present with what is. You know, and there's a profundity here, there's an immensity here in the present moment. And we forget about that, you know. We think the profundity's over there. We think the thing is over there somewhere, and I can't wait to get it. We keep forgetting it's right here, right now. This relationship with the now, with the eternal now, is the thing to cultivate. And I forget that too. You know, I've been doing this for years. I did a lot of deep retreats with certain teachers, and it's been a really powerful tool for me. And I find coming back into society, it's a hard integration, and I get lost really easily. I get lost in the world of 10,000 things pretty quickly, and then, oh, that's right, bring it back, roll it back. And one thing that I've learned is that whole, I had it, then I lost it. I was on the good path, I had the good momentum, and then I lost it. But instead of trying to strategize, where was I? How did I get back to where I was? The trick is actually no, just bring forth another fresh present moment, because it's always right here. It's always right now, and the present moment is always trying to send you messages. If you believe there's a power right here, right now, what do we call it? The creator, the divine. If you do believe in something like that, you can only experience it right now. You can't experience it 5 minutes from now or 3 minutes ago. It's always right now. So the messages are in the present moment, and that's the place to be. I wouldn't be doing my journey justice if I didn't mention plant medicines, because they have been incredibly powerful for me. So 5 years ago, I started working with ayahuasca, which is a very potent psychedelic plant medicine, usually used in the Amazon with shamans. And it's an interesting topic, because do we need plant medicines to heal? No, we don't need them. Is everybody ready for that experience? No. Absolutely not. And even though there is a bit of a plant medicine renaissance going on right now, and these things are coming back, these ancient teachers are coming back into the world, we need to be very careful, and we need to hold them with a level of sacredness that needs to be done the right way. And people need a level of tools in their kitty before they go and do something like that. You need to be ready for the integration after a huge experience like that. Can you develop the ability to observe your thoughts and your emotions? If you haven't got that, you might have a hard time in a big experience like that. For me, it was really powerful. I'd already done a bit of work, so it revealed a lot to me, and it was like sitting with the infinite wisdom of the universe, and she allows you to look under the rug at the unconscious, and you're like, whoa, there's a lot under there. And it's dirty, and there's lots to clean up, and she helps you clean it up. She shows you the way, and it's like sitting with some kind of intelligence that knows you better than you know yourself. And that was really powerful. And so where I am now, transforming my perception, like the brother said, the way I have shaped the way I look at reality and myself and this realm that we're in, I think really helps. And for me, where I'm at, is I see this earth dimension that we're in is kind of like a school for souls. It's like a school for my soul, and I'm just here to learn. Like, that's it, you know, and getting clear on what lessons I'm meant to be learning right now, and then trying to master those lessons so I don't repeat it, because I don't want to have to learn that lesson again, you know, and I'm just here to evolve rather than to revolve. And there's this beautiful image of like a flower cracking through concrete in search of the light, you know, and that's, for me, I see that as the human spirit. The human spirit is in there, and it wants to expand. It wants to expand boundlessly, you know, and we suppress that. We push that down. They got contracted when we were 5 years old. They got contracted when we were 7. And it's every now and then it'll kind of push you, a little nudge you, you know, and you go, no, push it down. And then it'll come back, it'll push you a little bit harder, and you go, I don't want to look at that. And if you don't do something about that, it'll really yell at you. It'll throw you a crisis. It'll give you an injury. It'll give you a relationship breakup. It'll give you something that it's going to maybe take you to rock bottom so that you can rise from that. It's going to do something to wake you up, you know. And this kind of brings me into another way that I look at things now, and that's that we truly create our own reality. And we might have heard that before, but it seems very true for me. It seems that we're like this magnet. We're kind of like a magnet, and we attract to ourselves the people, the circumstances, the resources, the ideas that are in harmony with our state of being, how we feel, our predominant thoughts. And I think one thing that's really beautiful about that is it means full responsibility. It means you have to take responsibility for your life. There's no playing the victim. I can't blame other people for where I'm at. And it's a beautiful place to start for anybody, is to fully accept where you are and take full responsibility for where you are. And then take responsibility for what you're creating in the world as well. It's kind of like, I choose. We can replace I have to, or I always have to do it like that, or I can't do this because I choose. And then that becomes an empowerment for yourself, because now you're the creator. You're the one that's creating this thing. And it brings me to this beautiful quote. If you have a big enough dream, you don't need a crisis. And this is the first thing we teach in holistic lifestyle coaching is, what is your dream? Get clear on what you want, because you're a creative being who's always creating your reality. So you should get clear on what it is that you're creating, because if you don't get clear on it, it's going to happen anyway through the means of your subconscious programming, right? And so creating a vision of the way and then creating values around that orientates your creative energy. And this is the first thing that we teach, because it also gives meaning to everything. It's like the passion that I was talking about with martial arts. It's like, why do I do anything? Why am I going to clean up my diet and start new routines and do all of these things if I don't know what I'm living for? If I don't have something in my life that excites me, a future that I can see, a vision that I'm going towards, that excites me. And yeah, this is one of those powerful keys. And for me, I'm always finding myself course correcting. I think it's cool to change that as well. I was heading in this direction, and then I think the universe goes, oh, you want that, do you? Well, it's not going to be a straight line. If you want to get there, I'm going to take you on this detour because you need to get this lesson, and then you're going to go over here and get this lesson and get smashed down here, and then you're going to go up here and get taken all the way down there, and then you're going to get on track, and then it's like, oh, okay. And so I'm in this place where I'm trying to call forth my own awakening in a noble way. It's like the archetype of the bodhisattva, one who's committed on the path of awakening. I'm not trying to manifest something out of selfishness. I want to manifest something that is going to benefit everybody. And then the universe goes, okay, cool, I got your back on that. It's like it's something that's in integrity. And there's probably still going to be some lessons along the way for that one too, but it feels a lot better. So there's this beautiful prayer I want to finish with, and it's this master shaman that I worked with, Don Gino. He's this guy in his 70s. He's been a shaman since he was a little kid. He has this beautiful prayer, and he's asking all the masters throughout space and time. He says, "May we bless everybody. I bless you all that you cleanse your bodies, heal your hearts, and connect you deeper with your soul." If we just look at those three, cleanse our bodies. We have to honor this physical body. I'm not about this ascending to a 5D dimension somewhere over there. We got to be right here. We got to be grounded in this physical reality, And we're living in interesting times. We're living in very interesting times. We have terrible food philosophies, an increasingly toxic environment, technology grasping for our distraction at every corner. We've got a lot to deal with, and it's really important to get clear on some of these foundational pillars, because if you're not healthy, if you don't have your health, you don't have your mind, and there's no point meditating. I can't get anyone to sit down and meditate if they're dehydrated and they're stressed out and their liver's not working properly and they haven't moved their body for 2 weeks. It's like, man, drink some water and go for a run before you start thinking about meditating. We need to get healthy. We need to understand these physical vessels. They're very complex, and they will work for us if we give them what they need. But we haven't been treating them right, and society doesn't help that. Society doesn't support that. Heal our hearts. Many ways to do that. Who do I need to forgive? What do I need to let go of? These are some of the questions that come up. Spend some time with your heart in that meditation. Do a heart meditation. See what comes up. Where attention goes, energy flows. Just bring my attention to my heart. All the life force energy will start going to the heart. That's a beautiful meditation. Connect deeper with our soul. Again, many ways we can do this. I didn't mention this before, but all of these deep journeys into the shadow, really doing the shadow work, really getting in there. You don't necessarily need plant medicines to do it. You can do it through breath work. You can do it through journaling. You can get in a relationship that'll do it. When you go into the shadow, when you go deep into the shadow, it's not all the bad stuff. It's not just trauma and conditioning. That's where your genius is. That's where the child's hiding. That's where that life, that thirst for life is going to activate you. And that's going to connect you deeper with your soul. Another thing too is also tuning in with your intuition. Start learning how to use your intuition. Doesn't have to be the big things. It could be, what do I want to eat, you know? Learn muscle testing or something like that. Just try and get a yes or a no out of the small things in life. Now you're training your intuition. You're tapping into that part of yourself that knows. Because there's a part of yourself that knows. Try and work it out. Get so confused in our head. But you already know. It was the first thing you thought of. Yeah, so I guess if I was going to finish with anything, it would just be where I'm really at is just I'm really passionate about where we're at this time in history. It's crazy, you know. I don't think many people in this room want to live in AI smart cities and get fed Bill Gates's GMO food. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't. And I don't think anyone's coming to save us either. I don't think I can rely on the government to try and help me. I think we're the ones that we've been waiting for. We're the generation that seems to be the one to break the intergenerational trauma that's been going on for the last 7 generations and before that. And it's game on, you know, those of us who have a sense of mission and a sense of purpose, it's a beautiful thing, you know, and like me and the brother are always talking about how purposeful, or trying to think of a different word other than busy, so many things on our plate. Flow. Yeah, but it's because I'm passionate about how I'm co-creating the society that we're moving into, the world that my son's going to grow up in, you know. And so we do need to take responsibility for creating these other systems and these other ways of being, food sovereignty, and doing the work on ourselves so that we can be in community, you know, which is why these things are so beautiful. Being able to actually come together and share these kind of kōrero. So, yeah, honour to share. Thank you. Blessings.